Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the Wofford College Senior Class of 2013, escorted by the Class of 1963.
Let us pray. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, today is a day of memories. We remember the ways you have so richly blessed us with friends and family, with colleagues and classmates, and we give you thanks and praise. We remember with gratitude the people and place we know as Wofford College, and we're thankful for what the college has meant to so many across the centuries. We remember with affection the energetic and inspired leadership given to us by our president, Benjamin Bernard Dunlap, and we ask for your blessings upon him as he enters a new season of life. We remember now silently and with love our classmates Matthew Bryan Hill and Carl Edward Alexander, who for a while shared this journey with us and now rest with you. Bless, we pray, this Wofford College class of 2013 as they finish their course of study. Walk with them as they move forward in life. Take away their anxiety and strengthen their talents and skills, and instill in them a confidence in the future. And, O God, may their lives be filled with joy. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
From all that dwell below the skies, let the Creator's praise arise. Let the Redeemer's name be sung through every land, by every tongue. Eternal are thy mercies, Lord. Eternal truth attends thy word. Thy praise shall sound from shore to shore, till sun shall rise and set no more.
Please be seated. This, above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. It occurs to me whenever I hear those lines that if Shakespeare's Polonius had not been a counselor of state, you might have sworn he was a college president, full of sage counsel and unsought advice, windy, platitudinous, and full of himself. Also expendable. You know as soon as he appears that he won't be around for the final scene. But this is Hamlet, of course, and in the end, everyone is expendable, except Horatio, the epitaph's spouting friend, and Fortinbras, the sensible king of Norway, who is there to provide some sort of continuity and set most things to rights, at least for the nonce. Actually, in one way of looking at it, the primary function of Hamlet himself is to transmit their little kingdom from his father's hands into the safekeeping of another monarch, one less mercurial than himself, even though not, strictly speaking, promoted from within the royal household. And metaphorically speaking, as no doubt you have already noted, we are at this very moment in the midst of a similar transition. So let me snatch an extra I am or two for what will be the usual exit speech, assuming I have a bit more time at my disposal than most of that star-crossed Danish crew, always excepting Horatio, the part that I have assigned in my mind to each of you prospective graduates. But only a bit more time at best, for the drums are rolling off stage and the summer rains are threatening to pelt down, sure signs that the term is ending at Wofford and at Wittenberg. So let me reconsider by cutting some slack for Polonius. He may have been an officious windbag, but he had surely been to more than one rodeo, so to speak, and he was, after all, the father of Ophelia and Laertes, who, impetuous though the latter was, had the makings of gifted students and loyal alumni. Besides, I should note on the old man's behalf that when it comes to the handful of valid generalizations that can be made about human nature and deportment, they tend to be rediscovered and repeated so often by the more reflective among us that they are often derided as mere cliches by those who have only heard them without experiencing their truth. That's just another way of observing that most wisdom is a matter of achieving a different and deeper level of awareness regarding something we thought we already knew. It's also, I think, what T.S. Eliot must have meant in his hard-won reaffirmation of hope entitled Ash Wednesday, in which he likens his situation to that of someone standing on a circular staircase, gazing down at previous versions of himself, simultaneously aware of his hand on the banister below and of himself above at a higher turning of the stair, perceiving both realities and wavering between the profit and the loss in this brief transit where the dreams cross, the dream-crossed twilight between birth and dying, which is, I might suggest, a moment not unlike the one we are sharing now, both an end and a beginning, prompting, in Eliot's case, a simple, heartfelt prayer that may as well serve us too on this occasion. Suffer us not to mock ourselves with falsehood. Teach us to care and not to care. Teach us to sit still. Easier said than done, of course, for those of you in caps and gowns with the sand and the hourglass running and the day growing warmer and potentially wetter, while questions of profit and loss like getting a job and starting to pay back college loans seem far more urgent than thinking about the future of a college, much less the fate of a doddering old administrator who is on his way to hide behind the arras. But give Polonius his due. Despite his droning on with all that tedious advice, while Laertes bites his tongue and clutches his portmanteau, itching to leave for study abroad in Paris, here we go again. Laertes must have grown surfeited with advice. This above all. Yeah, heard it 1,000 times. Be true to yourself, whatever the heck that means. Well, listen, son, his father might have said if he hadn't been so worried about Ophelia. Not only is that excellent advice, implying as it does that in order to be yourself, you have got to know yourself, but I would suggest it might be as usefully applied to Wittenberg or Spartanburg as to you or Hamlet or that promising young Horatio. To thine own self be true. So let me ask you, promising young Horatios, what should such earnest counsel mean for us, not just as the keepers of our own respective souls, but as the guardians of Wofford College? Clearly, it does not mean that we should refuse to grow, adapt, and change, but it does mean, I think, in words I first employed more than a dozen years ago, that we must, if we are indeed to be true to ourselves, know who we are and what we believe, and find within ourselves the courage to live our lives accordingly. I mean ourselves collectively, the students, faculty, and staff, as well as those who, though somewhat further from the college's daily operation, are also deeply engaged in determining what we are and what we might become, our trustees, friends, and alumni. All of us together, who according to our much-missed colleague and advisor, Larry McGehee, and his fellow Platonic guardian, Dan Malsby, are and have been since our initial students walked forth from the shadow of Old Main and out into the world, the servants and the products of a residential undergraduate liberal arts college focused on a single mission: preparation for lives that are meaningful as well as profitable, that contribute to others while securing for oneself, that are generous and creative as well as competent, that unabashedly intend to make the world a better, richer, fairer place. Teach us to care and not to care. Can we change and stay the same? In recent years, we have changed dramatically, growing to half again our previous size, both in acreage and enrollment, without appreciable diminishment of our community or collegiality. We have raised the academic profile of our incoming students while maintaining almost perfect gender balance, never ceasing to maintain our essential character. Ranking among the top handful of institutions for foreign study, we have sent our students to the ends of the earth, equipping them with the languages and skills required for truly global careers. And we have extensively deployed the latest technologies within our traditional framework of an intimate face-to-face instruction, which leaves its indelible stamp on truly educated minds. In short, the value-added aspect of a Wofford degree is still, as it has always been, virtually unmatched. And our graduates leave this event each year confident of both employment and eventual fulfillment, precisely because you have grown accustomed here to the transformative power of great ideas and meticulous execution, even as you have lived and learned in the Wofford Village and Milliken Arboretum, the majestic expanse of Great Oaks Hall, and the venerable classrooms of Old Main. Above all else, you leave here today forever aware of having been part of what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. described so memorably as the beloved community, an ideal made sufficiently real to prove such things are possible. What I have just described was first defined for the ancient Greeks by Aristotle as phronesis, thought into action, turning ideas into reality. Even today, that is the essence of liberal arts aspiration. But what it requires at the outset is an abundance of ideas worthy of being acted upon. Wofford itself was conceived as such an idea when H.A.C. Walker, who was to be among our first trustees, earnestly advised a dying Ben Wofford, why not found a college spreading, working, increasing in power and goodness through the ages? James Carlyle had his own rich abundance of ideas, and Henry Nelson Snyder and Joab Lassane. So have Roger Milliken, Jerry Richardson, Jimmy Gibbs, Michael James, Mike Brown. And brick by brick, thought by thought, they have been joined by giants in the classroom, many of whom are seated here this morning. This is what Wofford is. These things are what we are. And you graduating seniors are the proof of what I say. Teach us to sit still just a little longer, for I too will be graduating this morning, accepting a degree and sauntering forth into the world, well aware that the podium that has been mine is shortly to be surrendered to a splendidly equipped successor. So before I start to sound too tediously like Polonius, Let me urge a simple admonition upon you, fellow graduates, and on those who will stay when I am gone, maintaining our long and cherished traditions. Be sure you know who you are. Stay true to yourselves. Suffer us not to mock ourselves with falsehood. The truth is often quite simple and most persuasive when simply stated. My favorite lines in Hamlet are not the ones you frequently hear quoted, but what the ever-loquacious prince hastily says to Horatio at the very end, knowing he's on the verge of taking the ferry. Had I but time, he exclaims, oh, I could tell you. But he doesn't, because it's time for him to leave, with all that he might have said reduced to a plaintive request that Horatio should report him and his cause aright. As it happens, another prince of sorts, the sometime haberdasher Harry S. Truman, hoped for much the same sort of obsequy when it came to his own departure. He said he would always remember an epitaph in the cemetery at Tombstone, Arizona, which read with simple if unvarnished eloquence, "Here lies Jack Williams. He done his damnedest." As Truman observed, I think that is the greatest epitaph a man can have, when he gives everything that is in him to do the job he has before him. That is all you can ask of him, and that is what I have tried to do. Well, I won't presume to ask for as much, because I know myself too well to identify with Hamlet or President Truman or even Jack Williams, since I have no assurance that whatever it was he did his damnedest to do bears any resemblance at all to what I have tried to do in my 20 years at Wofford, though I have to confess the notion of some sort of boot hill for former Wofford presidents is an appealing idea. Nevertheless, for my own valedictory, I will stick with Polonius, that wearisome old bore who meant well in his meddlesome way, who loved the kingdom of Denmark as much as his own children, and who in the end was fundamentally right. Whatever else we do, we must be true to ourselves. By the middle of the play, he had had his say, completed his job, and shuffled off the stage. For the rest, as his younger but in the end equally verbose prince observes, I do prophesy the election lights on Fortinbras. So it is, and so it should be. Blow clarions and beat drums. Wofford and Denmark will prosper. So will you new alumni, and all manner of things shall be well in our kingdom of the just. Thank you very much. Mr. J. Harold Chandler, Chairman of the Wofford Board of Trustees, Dr. David Wood, Dean of the College, and our Registrar, Jennifer Allison, will now assist me in presenting the awards and degrees. Mr. Chandler will present each recipient with a Bible, which has been signed by the faculty and staff, as has been the tradition throughout the history of Wofford commencements. Faculty marshals will assist in the conferring of honorary degrees. Wofford College is one of a number of colleges and universities that have been authorized by the New York Southern Society to convey annually the Algernon Sidney Sullivan and Mary Mildred Sullivan Awards. This Southern couple went to New York during the mid-19th century and built careers that were distinguished in every way. They became symbols of the highest standards of humanity and achievement, and these awards were established by their friends in tribute to their nobility and character. Each year, confidential college committees choose 2 recipients for each of the awards. One of the recipients of each award must be a student, the other a non-student, but a person with some interest in or association with the college. The criteria for the awards are specified as follows. In the selection of recipients, nothing is to be considered except the possession of such characteristics of heart, mind, and conduct as evince a spirit of love for and helpfulness to other men and women. We will recognize the non-student recipients first. I ask the student marshals to escort to the podium as the 2013 Mary Mildred Sullivan Award recipient, Mrs. Donna Culbertson Fritz, and as the 2013 Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award recipient, Dr. Charles Francis Bagwell. Please come to the platform. The nonprofit organizational landscape of Spartanburg has been forever influenced for the better by Mrs. Donna Culbertson Fritz and her beloved husband, Max. An observation that is, please linger here on the stage, if you will. You'll be joined shortly by student recipients as well. So let me start over about Mrs. Fritz. The nonprofit organizational landscape of Spartanburg has been forever influenced for the better by Mrs. Donna Culbertson Fritz and her beloved husband, Max, an observation that is especially true for the clients and staff of the local Bethlehem Center and the city's Charles Lee Center, where Mrs. Fritz has repeatedly served as a volunteer, mentor, board member, and advisor to so many. Mrs. Fritz, we recognize and applaud you as a true behind-the-scenes angel in every respect. A Wofford graduate of 1979, Dr. Charles Francis Bagwell has devoted an extraordinary career here in Spartanburg to public education, having spent the entire last decade as principal of Arcadia Elementary School of Spartanburg School District 6, and having been recently recognized as the 2013 Elementary School Principal of the Year for the state of South Carolina. Dr. Bagwell is especially noted for his exemplary leadership of a K-12 program integrating family involvement with their children's education, and for taking a broad personal and professional interest in improving both school and community. Dr. Bagwell, we thank you and applaud you for all that you have done. Thank you both. Next, I ask that the student marshals escort this year's Mary Mildred Sullivan and Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award recipients from the senior class, Mary Grace Wallace and Taylor McGuire Thomas. We congratulate you. Once again, we congratulate you all and thank you for your sterling examples. Large universities serve their constituencies in many significant ways, but Wofford College devotes all of its resources to a single undertaking, the teaching and learning of undergraduates. This year, for the 8th time, I am pleased to announce the Philip Covington Award for Excellence in the Teaching of the Humanities and Social Sciences. Named after a beloved longtime professor and academic dean, this recognition carries with it a $15,000 award allocated over a period of 3 years and designed specifically to provide further opportunities for professional development. It is with pride and pleasure that I announce the bestowal of the 2013 Philip Covington Award for Excellence in the Teaching of the Humanities and Social Sciences to Dr. Andrew Green. Please join me in applauding his achievement. This year, for the 9th time, I am pleased to announce the Roger Millikan Award for Excellence in the Teaching of Science. The recipients, chosen each year by a committee of scientists and businessmen from outside the college, will receive an award of $50,000 allocated over a decade and designed specifically to provide further opportunities for professional development. So far as I know, there is no teaching award anywhere in the academic world to rival the munificence of this one. But then it was Mr. Millikan's expectation that nowhere else in the world will such teachers be found. It is with great satisfaction that I can announce that once again we have confirmed that expectation. The 2013 recipient of the Roger Millikan Award for Excellence in the Teaching of Science is Dr. Mackie Sally. Will one of the marshals please escort Dr. Sally to the platform? A very great significance at a college like ours is the departure of colleagues who have shared our labors in the classroom for many years. I now call on Dean Wood to recognize our retiring professors.
Professor Elizabeth Barks Cox, would you please stand? Professor Cox is the John Cobb Professor of Humanities, is a recipient of the Robert Penn Warren Award, and is a member of the Fellowship of Southern Writers. She has also been a member of our faculty since 2006 and will now retire. Betsy, we thank you for gracing our campus for the past 7 years and for your gifts of writing and teaching that have provided that element of our existence which we so often like to say makes life worth living. We will miss you, thank you, and congratulations. Will the faculty marshals please escort Dr. David Melvin Wisnett and Dr. James Edwin Proctor to the platform, please. other side of Bernie. Dr. Wisnett, will you please step forward? Step. After graduating from the University of Wisconsin with a PhD in physical chemistry in 1970, Dr. David Melvin Wisnett launched what became an enormously successful career in higher education. He was a Wisconsin Fellow, a Danforth Associate, and won the House Award for Innovations in Teaching Science. It is no surprise that Wofford worked hard to lure him to our campus in 1983. Since his arrival 30 years ago, his work on our campus has been extraordinary. In addition to his outstanding classroom teaching, he found time to serve on several national bodies, and he wrote and secured 7 NSF grants for our institution while publishing 18 journal articles. For his outstanding classroom instruction, he was named the Larry M. McCullough Endowed Chair of Chemistry in 1995 and assumed the role of Vice President for Technology at the college in 2000, where he led Wofford in a tireless effort to implement and effectively use rapidly emerging technologies in the classroom. Teaching and learning at our institution has benefited enormously from his good work. Dr. Wisnett, for your dedicated and energetic service to Wofford, for your outstanding work on our campus and around the nation, for the exemplary performance of all your duties as a professor, the Wofford College Board of Trustees voted unanimously on May 14, 2013, to bestow upon you the high honor of Professor Emeritus. Congratulations and thank you. Barney? Dr. Proctor, will you step forward, please? Dr. James Edwin Proctor is a 1967 Wofford graduate, holds the MBA from the University of South Carolina, and earned the PhD from Clemson in 1976 in the field of engineering management. After graduation from Wofford, he served his country for 4.5 years as an active duty officer in the United States Army, which included a year of service in Vietnam. Subsequent experience included work in the banking industry and at other colleges before joining Wofford as an associate professor in 1981, where he began the work of building a new program in finance. He was appointed the first chair of the newly formed Department of Accounting and Finance in 1995. Dr. Proctor was named the Reeves Family Endowed Professor of Finance in 2007 and has served as the faculty secretary for 13 years. Known for his creativity, he was asked to assume a new challenge in launching the innovative scholarship-supported Success Initiative at Wofford in 2004 and to serve as its first executive director. The Success Initiative's derivatives continue today in a very robust manner on our campus. Our faculty's high regard for him was expressed in 2004 when his Wofford colleagues elected him as a member of Phi Beta Kappa. Dr. Proctor's career in higher education as a professor spans a total of 37 years, and his work in business consulting spanned 18 years. Dr. Proctor, for dedicated and energetic service to Wofford, for outstanding leadership in diverse areas of our college, and for exemplary performance of all your duties as a professor, the Wofford College Board of Trustees voted unanimously on May 14, 2013, to bestow upon you the high honor of Professor Emeritus. Congratulations and thank you.
It is now this college's great honor to hold up for the admiration of all and emulation by those who can and will a man of truly remarkable character and achievement, and the second recipient of whose worthiness for such recognition I am ill-equipped to judge. I call again on Dean Wood for these presentations.
Will the faculty marshals please escort Mr. William Hayne Hipp to the platform? Mr. William Hayne Hipp is a native of Greenville, South Carolina, and a 1962 graduate of Washington and Lee University, where he continues to serve as trustee emeritus. He earned the master's degree in business administration from the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. Today's honoree left his undergraduate days and embarked on what became a series of remarkable achievements in business leadership, serving eventually as the Chief Executive Officer of the Liberty Corporation for over 25 years. The entity is a holding company focused on insurance and television broadcasting with additional investments in media, real estate, and technology ventures. Hain Hip is an exemplar of the American spirit of entrepreneurship, innovation, creativity, and philanthropy. As a private investor and philanthropist, he has given his time, his talent, and much of his treasure to numerous organizations by serving and supporting a large number of nonprofit initiatives. He's a trustee of the Aspen Institute, was chair of the Peace Center for the Performing Arts in the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce, was a director of the National Urban League and the South Carolina Independent and Colleges and Universities. These are but a few examples of his generous work and support for others. With his wife, Anna Kate, he launched his most visionary and far-reaching initiative in partnership with Wofford College and the Aspen Institute, while forming in 2003 the Liberty Fellowship Program of South Carolina. This program of seminars, service projects, and forums brings together enlightened young leaders with a diversity of perspective, a wide range of thought, and a passion for moving South Carolina forward. Such an effort is the only partnership of its type for the Aspen Institute within the U.S. borders and promises to have a long-lasting impact on our state, region, and nation. The program's impact can already be seen in our state now, but its benefits to us will most surely be even more profound in the decades ahead. President Dunlap, for his contributions and service to the common good, for leadership and vision with a transformative and positive impact, for enthusiastic advocacy and support targeted at improving the well-being of his fellow man, and for good work spanning a lifetime of success, I present to you, on behalf of the faculty, Mr. William Hain Hip, so that you may confer upon him the degree of Doctor of Humanities.
William Hain Hip, in recognition of your good character and attainments, and on behalf of the faculty and trustees of Wofford College, I now confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humanities.
The life and work of Benjamin Bernard Dunlap represents the embodiment of the ideal of master teacher and visionary leader. A native of Columbia, South Carolina, Bernie Dunlap is a graduate of Sewanee, the University of the South. He attended Oxford University as a Rhodes Scholar and earned his PhD in English Language and Literature at Harvard in 1967. From that year until 1993, he held academic appointments at Harvard and the University of South Carolina, twice serving as a Fulbright Senior Lecturer. He was also named the U.S.-Japan Leadership Fellow in its inaugural class. In 1993, our honoree was appointed the Chapman Family Professor in the Humanities at Wofford, and he became the college's 10th president on July 1st, 2000. In his position as president, he has overseen the restoration of historic main building behind me and development of the Goodall Environmental Studies Center at Glendale Shoals, the first academic building in South Carolina to win LEED Platinum distinction, the construction of the Wofford Village, and much, much more. However, what cannot adequately describe on any list is his enrichment of our campus through his contributions to our collective intellectual life within an academic community. Not only is he renowned on the Wofford campus as a gifted teacher and intellectual of the highest order, Bernie Dunlap, or Ben as he is known to much of the world outside these gates, is recognized far and wide as one of the nation's and the world's most outstanding teachers and seminar leaders. Our president has been a frequent moderator for decades for the Aspen Institute's Executive and CEO seminars, as well as the Henry Crown Fellowship, and other such affiliated programs as the Executive Seminar Asia, the Africa Leadership Initiative, the Central European Leadership Initiative, just to name a few. He has also designed and moderated seminars for corporate clients as varied as Netflix Corporation and the Nova Chemical Corporation. At each stop along the way, he has carried the Wofford name to important audiences who otherwise would not know much about our college. Closer to home, Bernie Dunlap and our previous honoree launched perhaps our nation's most ambitious initiative ever aimed at the long-term improvement of one's own state through the Aspen-affiliated Liberty Fellowship Program. President Dunlap, your efforts on such a far-sighted project are deeply appreciated. Our president has also enhanced the visibility of Wofford through a variety of other activities, one of which was his TED Talk in 2007 on the passionate life of Sandor Tesler. As we speak today, this presentation continues to be viewed by persons around the world and most likely will never disappear from viewership. What also cannot be described with lists of seminars conducted or of buildings constructed is the influence of a Renaissance man on a campus like ours. As John Adams once stated, quote, "Let us dare to read, think, speak, and write. Wherever a general knowledge and sensibility have prevailed among the people, arbitrary government and every kind of oppression have lessened and disappeared in proportion," end quote. Bernie Dunlap, for over 50 years, the last 20 on our hallowed campus, you have led all of us to think and read and speak with persuasion. In doing so, you have not only enriched our lives, but you have helped us to preserve the very freedom and democracy we cherish and enjoy as citizens. You have been a standard bearer for the oratorical tradition of liberal learning out of which our institution was founded, a tradition taking its roots in the antiquity of Cicero and Quintilian and placing its emphasis on the education, development of the ideal citizen. We thank you for the passion you have exhibited in carrying forth an important tradition. Such leadership has made an enormous contribution to Wofford students, to our faculty, to our staff, to our college, and indeed to our nation and the world. Bernie Dunlap, for service to Wofford College and higher education, for giving so much to so many, for serving tirelessly with enthusiasm and energy, for leading Wofford College with distinction as its president for 13 years, for inspiring so many with your passion and brilliance, for challenging us to soar with you to new heights in the life of the mind and in life as virtuous citizens. We salute you and we commend you. To Mr. Harold Chandler, Chairman of the Wofford College Board of Trustees, on behalf of the faculty, I present to you Dr. Benjamin Bernard Dunlap, so that you may bestow upon him the degree of Doctor of Humanities.
Therefore, Benjamin Bernard Dunlap, on behalf of the faculty and the Board of Trustees of Wofford College, and in recognition of your character and your many, many attainments, I am very pleased and highly honored now to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humanities.
Thank you, and please be seated. Dean Wood will now announce the 2013 honor graduates and present the candidates for baccalaureate degrees. This graduation exercise also includes those who completed their work in February 2012 and some who will complete their program of study during the upcoming summer term. There will be a few degrees awarded in absentia. Dean Wood.
Will the junior marshals please escort Sharon Lee Guffey and Rachel Marie Woodley to the stage? The honor graduates at Wofford must not only be very intelligent, they must be disciplined and committed to working hard each and every day. Such is the nature of the academic enterprise at a Phi Beta Kappa liberal arts institution. This year's honor graduates all earned a 4.0 GPA and all were inducted into Phi Beta Kappa. Sharon Lee Guffey is a chemistry major, biology major, with a minor in computer science and an emphasis in computational science. Rachel Woodley is a Chinese and business economics major. Our third honor graduate, who could not be with us today, is John David Cooper. He is a biology major. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the 2013 honor graduates at Wofford College. Mr. President, the candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science have been duly instructed and examined by the faculty and been found worthy. On behalf of the faculty, I present them for the conferring of their appropriate degree.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the state of South Carolina, upon the completion of all graduation requirements, with the recommendation of the faculty and the approval of the Board of Trustees of Wofford College, I now confer upon each of you, as appropriate to your course of study, the degree of Bachelor of Arts and/or Bachelor of Science.
Philip Gaston Albergati. Lee Elizabeth Allen, cum laude. Cameron Turner Allman. Langley Gilliard Altman. Rachel Naomi Arling, cum laude. Sarah Elizabeth Arnold, magna cum laude. Clifton Campbell Ayers. Joseph Robert Bailey, in absentia. Francesca Marie Barber, cum laude, in absentia. Kenneth Andrews Barnes. Gabrielle Rose Basile. Stephen Christian Bearden. Danner Stephen Benfield. Stender Douglas Bergman, in absentia. Catherine Elizabeth Bidwell. Robert Hamilton Blanton, Jr. Zachary Tyler Bobb, in absentia. Jeremy Allen Bay, cum laude. Christopher Joseph Bollinger. Charles Anthony Bolton. Derek Alexander Boyce. Molly Joan Brady, cum laude. Kendall Marion Brasher, in absentia. Margaret Forster Bratton. Stephen Eric Breitenstein, in absentia. Justin Walker Buchanan. Cody Evan Burris. Amanda Blair Cadden, summa cum laude. Martha Locke Kamak. Catherine Elizabeth Canning, summa cum laude. Erica Leanne Christensen. James Patrick Clapp. Jacob Matthew Clayton, in absentia. Monique Jessica Collins, magna cum laude. Sebastian Quinn Conauer. Emily Catherine Conrad, in absentia. Laura Ann Cottrell, cum laude. Austin Lawrence Crane. Adrian Blythe Dalton, magna cum laude. Paul Jody Daniels, Jr. William Brooks De Silva. Joshua Wayne Davis. Hannah Elizabeth Deans. Matthew Hoyle Decker. Leverett Anderson Diggs. Emily Logan Dobson, summa cum laude. David Lloyd Dowden. Mary Catherine DeBose, cum laude. Emily Ann Eisenstadt. Catherine Melise Ellerby. Ellen Ruth Ezekiel. Thomas Allison Fanjoy II. Margaret Deans Richardson Fawcett. Caitlin Michelle Felkel. Clybourne Carrie Fletcher. Mary Frances Flowers. William Gladstone Ford. Sarah Elizabeth Malfris Fowler, cum laude. Elizabeth Kaiser France, cum laude. Sarah Reveal France. Erin Nicole Frost. Valerie Elizabeth Fulton. Magna cum laude for Valerie Elizabeth Fulton. My apologies. Eleanor Dell Foos. Sarah Gwen Garcia. Dominica Gergay. Caroline Marie Gieser, magna cum laude. Margaret Elizabeth Godowns. Jacob Lynn Godwin, cum laude. Jeffrey William Goff. John Alexander Grantham. Benjamin Kirkland Green, magna cum laude. James Davis Green III. Tamiko Zamir Gregory. Taylor Stanton Grimm, cum laude. Joshua Alexander Grimes. Joseph James Gromer, in absentia. Sarah Ashley Hagens, cum laude. James Archibald Hardison V. Simeon Cooper Harmon, cum laude. Jessica Ann Harner, magna cum laude. Catherine Marie Hazelden, cum laude. Wilder Lowry Hastings, cum laude. Ashley Alexandra Heil. Corey Dwayne Heimberger. Josh Kari Hilliard. Cassandra Lynn Hockaday. John Hampton Hodge. Kenneth Hunter Holliday. Charlotte Maitland Horney. Matthew Walker Hutchins. Randy Marie Howell. Alexander Guy Hubbard, magna cum laude. Kirsten Rebecca Hewlon, magna cum laude. Anthony James Humphreys. Aisha Iqbal, cum laude. Caleb Brown Jennings IV, magna cum laude. Mercedes Shaniqua Jeter. Kelly Winston Jones, cum laude. Mallory Mackenzie Jones. Raymond Christopher Jones. Mary Carmen Jordan. Jack Edmund Joinson III. Brian Thomas Cass in absentia. Jewel Elizabeth Sayoko Kawamoto. Andrea Kathleen Kelsey, magna cum laude. Robert Hughes Kennedy. Carolina Andriana Kennington. Jenna Marie Kessler, magna cum laude. Ethan Thomas Smith Kilby. Cameron Alexander Kimber, magna cum laude. Nicole Renee Glassnick. Seth Leldon Knight IV. Virginia Fletcher Konvalinka. Emily Lee Cronenfeld. Ryan Alexandra Krosky. Philip Wayne Legrand. Stefan Patrick Leonhardt. Caleb Wilkus Lucas in absentia. John Vincent McDowell III. Theodore Montague Malinowski. Taylor Corn Marcus, cum laude. Lauren Douglas Marion, cum laude. Mariah Ann Massillon. Alexandria Page Massey. Ryan Lewis Maddie, in absentia. Brian Novak McCracken, summa cum laude. Franklin Raymond McIntyre IV, in absentia. Hugh Johnson McMillan. Hannah Lee Meeks. Jacob Lee Miles, in absentia. Lee Ann Miller, cum laude. Sandra Molina. Matthew Ryan Moore. Erin Nicole Morgan, summa cum laude. Daniela Andrea Motley. Laurel Catherine Murphy, magna cum laude. Caroline Lee Myers. Michael Edward Nyam, in absentia. Ronald Lewis Norman II. Kiefer Welch Ogburn. Justin David Osborne, in absentia. Ashley Victoria Paget, cum laude. Natalie Josephine Poudron. Gilbert Edward Parker III. Viraj Natwarbi Patel. Michelle Lepic, magna cum laude. James Howard Poston. Amy Christina Powers, magna cum laude. Kurt Maxwell Purvis. Victoria Marley Putnam, cum laude. Samuel Jensen Quave, in absentia. Creighton Walker Quinn. Joseph Ridgway Reed III. Timothy Ayers Renfro II. Sarah Ellen Augusta Rhodes, cum laude. Cameron Stowe Ryan, in absentia. Wayne Anthony Rice, Jr. Robert Curtan Richardson. Laurel Noel Rosenberger. Cameron Blake Bertan, cum laude. Michael Anthony Rulac, cum laude, in absentia. Kaylee Ann Rowe. Travis Jamal Saab, magna cum laude. I ask the audience to withhold expressions of congratulations until the entire group can be recognized. Travis. Catherine Evelyn Sadler. Mackenzie Carol Sawicki, magna cum laude. George Stanley Schley. Kristen Ann Schwartz. Sarah Elizabeth Sheely, cum laude. Stephen Gregory Shelton. Joanne Amanda Scheidels. James Paul Sieverdeen. Thomas Nathaniel Simmons, cum laude. Melissa Elaine Simondi. Jared Matthew Singleton. Jordan David Small. Alan Jerome Smith II, in absentia. Jordan Oliver Smith. Jacob Rhett Snipes. Florence Adele Snyder. Sally Elizabeth Snyder, magna cum laude. Fraser Cameron Speaks, in absentia. Saquon Jermaine Stanley. Tiffany Michelle Stinson. Richard Adam Stovall. Jessica Elaine Strone, in absentia. Catherine Harriet Tamblin. Tara Marie Taylor. William Joseph Terlizzi, Jr., in absentia. Taylor McGuire Thomas. James Harrison Thompson, cum laude. Caroline Ashley Tracy. Ryan Edward Traylor. Natalie Jean Tucker. Charles Edward Turner. Tinas Van Wyck, in absentia. Taylor Drew Wagner. Cameron Stiles Walker. Elizabeth Durham Wallace, magna cum laude. Mary Grace Wallace. Megan Victoria Weimer. Mary Grace Wallace, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Durham Wallace, magna cum laude. Richard Francis Welch IV. Benjamin Riley White. John William White, in absentia. Timothy John White, in absentia. William Bennett Whitehouse. Josh Andrews Whitney. Allie Catherine Wybush. Anthony Edward Will, in absentia. Hannah Lee Williams, in absentia. James David Williams, summa cum laude. Peter Anderson Wilson, Jr. Kelly Morgan Witherspoon. Thomas Wood. Stanley Blake Wiley. Carl Lloyd Yandel IV. Brandon Michael Yarusi. Brian Stephen Yeoman, in absentia. Alexander Nelson Young. Sally Catherine Young. The following students are receiving both the Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science degrees today. Kelly Elizabeth Blake, magna cum laude. Casey Lauren Brasher. Jessica Lynn Cook. Meredith Reed Fishback. Taylor Hannah Fitch. Parker Douglas Friels, cum laude. Catherine Elise Gaster. Jonathan Thomas Hanson, magna cum laude. Shelby Wells Holmes. Benjamin Robert Holt, summa cum laude. Julie Huang Lee. Miwa Alice Lee, cum laude. Nicholas Reynolds Lowe, magna cum laude. Matthew Harrison Menard, cum laude. Ethan Copang Miller, magna cum laude, in absentia. David McIlvain Moore. Sajel Pravin Naik, cum laude. Pierre Mauricio Nunez. Morgan Michelle Parrish, summa cum laude. Trevor Keith Richards, magna cum laude. Scott Christopher Stockholm, cum laude. Miranda Elizabeth Stockman, magna cum laude. Andrew Dudley Strasburger, cum laude. Linda Brantley Tinsley, cum laude. Rebecca Jean Willis, cum laude. Clark Patrick Wise, magna cum laude. Rachel Marie Woodley, summa cum laude. Bailey Elizabeth Wooten, magna cum laude. And the following students will receive the Bachelor of Science degree. Lain Abdul Rahman, magna cum laude. Carlton Michael Addison, cum laude. Morgan Victoria Amick, cum laude. Arden Joan Anderson, cum laude. Sabrina Renee Anderson. Benjamin Campbell Arnett. Laura Lee Arthur, summa cum laude. Lydia Renee Arthur. Chelsea Marie Ashworth, magna cum laude. Russell Bark Baker. Bonnie Lou Barnett, magna cum laude. Tiffany Rebecca Beebe, cum laude. Anna Francis Bishop. Christopher Michael Buren, magna cum laude. Olga Braga. Thomas Stephen Bremer. Rachel D. Brittenham, magna cum laude. Andrew Scott Brown, cum laude. Franklin Cole Brown. Julie Christine Brown, cum laude. Rebecca Ann Bryson, magna cum laude. Kristen Taylor Buckner. Kenzie James Cameron. Michael Calvin Cantrell in absentia. Anthony Paul Carden. Michael George Carper, cum laude. Jesse Hayward Cart. Cody Egan Chesno. Anna Catherine Childers, cum laude. Charles Aubrey Chenners. Neil Colin Choice. John Thomas Coggins, magna cum laude. John David Cooper, summa cum laude, in absentia. Peter Samuel Cooper, magna cum laude, in absentia. Joseph Franklin Kraft, summa cum laude. Sarah Ann Cromer. Shaniqua Janae Marie Daniels. Arthur Dion Dawkins. Mackenzie Rain DeGraff. Tony James Totola. Andrew Ryan Drennan, in absentia. Alexander Braden Dunmeyer. Brittany Lee Eberhardt, cum laude. Anthony Jacob Emmanuel, magna cum laude. Bradley Thomas Evesich, cum laude. Jonathan Kyle Foster, magna cum laude. Gordon Taylor France, in absentia. Christopher Blair Gaines. Jessica Kristen Gardner. Cedra Guffar. Daniel Benjamin Giddens II. Emily Elizabeth Gothberg. Sharon Lee Guffey, summa cum laude. Abigail Eden Quinn, cum laude. Jamaica Latrice Hamilton, magna cum laude. Andrew James Hanson. Amna Junaid Huck. Shelby Marie Harris, magna cum laude. Ahan Lamar Hunter. David Alexander Hutchins, cum laude. Justin Rashad Jackson. Jennings Lee Johnstone, magna cum laude. Megan Parker Jones, summa cum laude. Paulina Dean Ketchum, cum laude. Emmanuel Lakis. Catherine Fury Lang. Lindsay Marie Larkin, cum laude. Ashley Lee Laws. Anna Hong Lee, summa cum laude. Alexandra Lyle Loomis. Brenton James Mahaffey. Justin Isham Mann. Cares Monzi. Patrick Scott Marshall, magna cum laude. Jessica Mata, magna cum laude. Stephen Peter Maritas, summa cum laude. Jana Candy McDonald. Kenzie Givens McMillan. Joseph Benjamin McMillan. Catherine Taylor Milton, cum laude. Anna Stewart Elliott Mitchner. Charles Godfrey Moore, Jr., magna cum laude. Lauren Elaine Moore. Amanda Blair Morris, cum laude. Zachary Alston Murray, in absentia. Julia Eileen Namey, cum laude. Charles Owen Nation III. Michael Thomas Nichols. Bradley Joseph Nosick, in absentia. Angelique Yenarabawe. Timothy Brooks Owens, Jr., magna cum laude. Timothy Robert Oxley, Jr. Sanavia Lizette Paisley. Kamal Sumil Patel. Allison Elise Pretty. Zachary Holman Princell. Manaswini Ravi. Matthew Gilbert Reed. Rose Caitlin Richardson. Frank Lockhart Rogers, cum laude. Joshua Michael Roseborough. Richard Todd Rozier, Jr., cum laude. Laurel Annette Sams. Francone Olivia Danielle Sarter. Lucy Laurel Schermerhorn. Alvin Joseph Ciano, Jr. Edmund Jackson Scott, Jr. Emily Ann Shaw, cum laude. Amy Elizabeth Simpkin, cum laude. Margaret McCrae Sims. Caitlin Danielle Smith. Catherine Lewis Smith, magna cum laude. Camille Moraine Smythe. Kimberly May Stauffer, magna cum laude. Aaron Kimberly Stevenson. Robert Davis Steebolt, Jr., cum laude. Reagan Celeste Stiles, summa cum laude. Andrew Justin Superstein, cum laude. Alexander Weston Taylor. Megan Elizabeth Thomas. Henry White Tiller. Julia Lassane Tyson. Gregory Thomas Valenus, Jr., cum laude. Trent Cameron Van, cum laude. Leslie Catherine Vestal. Jessica Nicole Waits. Brittany Elise Walker, cum laude. Lindsay Caroline Warren, magna cum laude. Jennifer Simmons Welter. Chase Stephen West. William Matthew Wheeler. Hampton Lake Williams. Alexander Tate Wilson. Morgan Lee Whiteson.
Will all of the recipients of bachelor's degrees please stand? And ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Wofford class of 2013.